Actually, I do know what I'm going to do. This has already been a pretty strange, even if you will, weird NFL season. Through 6 weeks, good teams lose to bad teams become good teams, and good teams stub their toes left and right. But it wasn't until last night, until I was having a perfectly pleasant time watching the Buffalo Bills fall once again. As that game was winding down, I had my revelation. I know the healthier way to view this 2025 NFL season. This is going to work. This is the way you do it. You have one team that is the New York Jets, and then you have 31 teams who are the Los Angeles Chargers. That's the world we're living in now. Everybody's the Chargers, except for the Jets, who are still the Jets. Seth, how's my theory hit you?
That would explain why everything's been so weird, but the only bad news that I have about that is if everyone's the Chargers, I think, let me check. Yeah, I just tore my ACL.
No! Welcome into a briefly shorthanded, no season-ending injury edition of Only Weird Games. Joshua Brisco and Seth Keysor with you. Getting started here. Nate Taylor will be joining us in progress a little bit later on in today's show. But Seth, not only do we have a bunch of good things to discuss today, we have a 500 football team that feels anything but at the middle of the pack right now. I don't know if 3-3 has ever felt so good. Certainly not in recent history for these Chiefs.
It is an interesting thing. It's a good example of why everything is kind of relative in some senses. Yes, there's objective truth, there's objective good, there's objective bad, all of that stuff. But a lot of situations that don't involve morality are really, from a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan Kenobi would say. Because 3-3 after starting off 3-0 feels very different. We really are a slave to the moment. We really are a slave to kind of the most recent thing that's occurred. I think 3-3 feels so good for a couple reasons. And I'm going to try to go in order here. The first is that the alternative was so bad. It felt so bad, at least. 2-4, got the, Raiders Commanders coming up, but 2-4, multiple games back in the division, multiple games back in the AFC. The alternative felt so bad, right? The second reason 3-3 feels good as it does, is because the nature of the AFC itself right now. They're only a game back, technically a game and a half to the Chargers, who the Chargers beat them better than anyone has this year, and that was still a pretty close game. Mm-hmm. The third reason it feels so good is because they just shellacked at home in front of the entire world, or NFL viewing world, a team that was supposed to be one of the best in the league. And I have really enjoyed watching, similar to after the Ravens game, which, turns out the Ravens game and the conversation was kind of true. Although Lamar Jackson was healthy for like that whole game.
Correct! Thank you for saying the thing I've been thinking.
That is not the same thing as what's happened to them with Cooper Rush starting. They shellacked. They were destroying the Ravens well before Lamar Jackson was out. So then the conversation about the Ravens kind of changed, right? And so whatever, fair enough. But, the conversation about the Lions has changed a little. Now it's like, there's all these injuries to their secondary and stuff. And, yes, that's true. It's been cool watching. I've actually decided to pivot from what I was saying before we started and decided it's kind of cool how quickly the NFL watching world has gone back to, the dang refs. It's like, guys, they're 3-3. Did the refs forget?
The refs could have done the Chiefs some big favors against the Jags on Monday night.
Yeah,
Would have really appreciated a flag staying in somebody's pocket, maybe something. Could have really used a favor. That would have been a great time to do it.
You couldn't. They couldn't have figured out some procedural thing to throw on a few other plays against the Eagles. Like, you're one penalty away from winning those games. But whatever. So that's been fun to watch. And how dominant they look doing it. Although dominant looking, and I know we're going to come back to this, the defense didn't feel dominant during the game. Like, there were a lot of drives where I was like, my God, this Detroit offense is a machine. Yeah. And they are just running over them. And there were some drives where, and Nick Bolton has played really well this year, by the way. Mm-hmm. I've really appreciated a ton of what Nick Bolton has done.
He played a lot of plays very well on Sunday.
Yeah, he had some really good plays. I had a great run blitz rep where he finished well against Gibbs, who's a tough guy to bring down.
But
there were like 2 drives where it was like they dropped back. It was like fine 32.
Yep.
And Bolton, for as smart a player he is, something to watch for in the future. He never he's a really smart player who understands route combinations. He has a tendency to jump routes. Or try to. And if you watch a couple of those deep middle completions that just barely went by his ear hole, on 3 of them, had he been a little more disciplined, not let himself get sucked up in general to the stuff in front of him, that's someone else's job, Nick, and you know that. Some of those he could have knocked down.
Yep.
Or it just would have been thrown. So, I mean, yeah, there were some of those, but then someone mentioned this, and I saw it on Twitter, and Sean makes a good point. The linebackers in general had a really nice game as a unit. Overall, they really did. Bolton got picked on a little in the middle of the field. We knew that would happen. Detroit picks on everyone in the middle of the field. Unless you're Fred Warner, if you're a linebacker, you're going to get picked on in the middle of the field. So I'm not, because they do a lot of eye candy, they make it tough. So this isn't like Seth's hating on Bolton all over again.
Can I just say real quick? It's the only intellectually honest scouting report to have at this point. Like, yeah. we've been talking about Nick Bolton for years now, and we know he's the brain of the defense. He's had some really good blitz improvements this year. Yeah. He talked about adjusting his own game to continue getting better at that. And also, he's going to be the weak link in the middle of the field in coverage more often than not. And when he makes a play, it's like we launch confetti cannons because, hey, he's eliminating the weakness in his game. It's the reason he's not Fred Warner. And unfortunately for Fred Warner, everyone's the Chargers, and so everyone's the Chargers, and no one's more the Chargers than the Niners right now, which is kind of sad from over here.
It is odd, yeah. The Chargers are the Niners, and my sister, my brother, yeah. It just really becomes a whole thing. So they didn't look dominant, but someone said on Twitter, and I wish I knew. I'm sorry, it was someone who replied, and then it got tweeted out, and I just thought it was great. It was like this classic Spags game where, and how he phrased it was so great, where you feel like your defense is just getting rolled, and then you look up late in the third quarter and they've given up 10 points.
Can I tell you another example of that?
Yes.
The Ravens game. I know it was a while ago, but the Ravens had I had to double check. It was 9 plays, 70 yards. They didn't use quite as much of the clock as the Lions did, but it was their first drive was 9 plays, 70 yards, and they were doing it again until Leo Chenal's pick.
Yep, and I think that's something that should really let us all take pause and consider how we are thinking about football games. How much are you impacted by the way the football game made you feel for the first 10 minutes? And how much does that color how you view the entire rest of the game? And then the last 10 minutes. And I'm not talking 10 minutes of gameplay. I mean, literally, although, man, that was 10 minutes of gameplay, that first drive. That was like, the Chiefs are going to need to score 40 tonight. And which, by the way, they easily could have. Had the Lions kept scoring.
Or they're going to need to score on all 4 of the offensive possessions they're going to have.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. We were getting late in the second quarter. I was like, the Chiefs have had the ball twice. What is happening here? So, the defense, if someone's asking, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Can someone tell me, is our defense good or not? I can't work it out.
I think I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about that. So that was because of how dominant it was overall. For the offense in particular, with all the background stuff about how long it's been since we've watched the offense really move, and even on, a couple drives where it didn't work out the way they wanted to. Honestly, the Chiefs' offense wasn't really stopped until they started to slowly ease up. They had one drive where I was like, but everything else looked good. It was such a smooth operation. Shout out to you, Jaylen Moore, for stepping in. So it all looked so good. And then the final thing, because we did 3 things, right? The alternative was so bad was number 2. Number 1 Crap, I can't remember. Anyway.
Do you remember what number 3 was?
Yeah. Number 3 was how dominant it looked overall. And then the fourth thing that really made it, see, this is why professionals take notes. The fourth thing that makes the vibe so high right now is similar to what made the vibe so high after the Ravens game, in that we've seen things on film and in the numbers, even in the Jags game. It's the reason I wasn't quite as down on the team after the Jags game, because I was like, the Jags are a decent team. Not great, but decent. And they looked like the better team. They just lost. They had a really weird game and they lost. If you look at the advanced numbers that are generally more predictive, you're like, there's some things to feel good about. This offense might not just be good, it might be really good. And to see that play out and kind of come together, that is really good to see. And so I think that's why the vibes are so high at 3-3. Technically not in the playoffs if the playoffs were to start today.
They don't.
They don't. And so there really is. There are 11 games left to the season. We're already a third of the way in, though, which is interesting. Like, that flew by. And so now you've got a chance, though. I mean, they cut down on mistakes. They barely had any penalties after being called for, hold on, let me look at my phone, 100 million penalties against the Jags. Yeah. It really was a much cleaner game. Kelsey looked great. Worthy is still working his way back in, but you can see the plan there. The only thing is we didn't get a deep shot to Thornton. That was it. Yep. And then, pass rush next to Jones, Derek Notty's play. There's some stuff there. Harrison Butker. Fortunately, he got to make a bunch of other extra points and a field goal. I was actually glad they had a field goal at the end of the game. And at least on a couple of them, and I haven't even gone back and rewatched, I should, he started dropping down to a knee again. And I'm wondering if he's just like, this is what I got to do now. And better to, and if that's the case, because I know he said he was putting a lot of strain on his leg doing it that way. But I guess, look, Harry, can I call you Harry? Probably not, but I'm going
Probably
to.
not.
Well. And so, Harry, here's the thing. If dropping back down to your leg, down on one leg when you're kicking, puts more of a strain on your leg and shortens your career, that is a real bummer. I understand you've worked your whole life for this and worked hard. But I would just say it's better to have 4 more years as a really great kicker than no longer being good. Mm-hmm. And that's a terrible way of phrasing it, but because it's not my knee, right? Like, it's pretty easy. But at the same time, man, if you're going to continue doing your chosen vocation, you got to figure out how to, and I don't know, maybe the hold sucked. I don't know, or stunk. I'm sorry. I'm trying to eliminate that from my lexicon. But I know you were very offended.
Yeah, thank you, Seth, for finally cleaning up your filthy potty mouth. We've all been really worried about that around here.
So that is something for him to look at.
Kids watch this show, Seth.
Yeah. And people who are saying they need to move on from Butker, you should probably take a look at his contract, because
yeah, they just can't.
That's just not. So he's got to get right. So there's a lot of good reasons to be really happy and really excited. The back 7 looked good. The linebackers overall played pretty well. It was a tough opponent that is kind of a goofy matchup for them on paper. Just so many reasons to be excited.
I've got one more reason for you to be excited, Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA right now. You can enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a timeout, come back, and talk about some of the good, clean fun the Chiefs put out there on offense. Plus, we will talk about Jaylen Moore's big day from the early hours of the morning to the late hours of Sunday night. A really impressive effort from the Chiefs' backup swing tackle. We'll talk about that next.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Seth, let's go ahead and pick a couple things here from the offensive side. I will ask that you do not go in depth on Jaylen Moore just yet, because he gets his own topic today. I want to go the whole way through, and we'll also talk a little bit about Josh Simmons, and we'll see what Nate knows when he joins and all of that. But I tell you that Seth and I think, know the same that you do right now. So we'll see what Nate can add there a little bit later on. But you wrote about this in the Chief in the North newsletter as a antithesis to a self-inflicted wound story. It's a story about the Chiefs making the plays they need to make once again. You go to both sides of the ball here again. Let's start on the offensive side. What were some of the biggest things, not just the biggest plays, but the stuff that the Chiefs did answer in that game against the Lions for you?
I think for me, it was making swing plays and taking advantage of the available options, and how comfortable the entire offense looks. Yeah. Starting with Mahomes, who is just really comfortable letting go of the ball quickly. He's also comfortable hanging out in the pocket. He's comfortable scrambling. He's comfortable rolling. He's comfortable escaping. Like a lot of the things we've seen. And by the way, everyone, it has been 3 weeks since I've done a Patrick Mahomes film review. I'm going to try to do all 4 of these games this week. And you're not actually going to see as much analysis as normal, but I'm just going to have the numbers there because, good Lord, I'm sorry. But a lot of the times he's been like scrambling over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this continued with Detroit, from quote unquote clean pockets. It's not because of happy feet. It's for one of 2 reasons. One, he sees that it's man coverage and he sees a wide open area to get an easy 10 yards and he just takes it. So he is like really trusting what he's seen with regards to that. And there's no hesitation there. He's just trusting what he's seen. And he's trusting the line to take care of certain aspects of lanes, so that if he sees a gap, he's trusting that there's not someone, swooping around in the gap. Okay. Or the second thing is he sees that it's zone, which is harder to scramble against, of course, and he wants to see if he can marionette those guys out of there. And I wrote an article. One of the first articles I wrote for the Chief North newsletter like 5 years ago was I called him the puppeteer, because Mahomes, better than any quarterback in the league, gets zone defenders to move off their spot by moving and threatening rush, and then they come in towards him, and the Juju Smith-Schuster big gain, right? That looked like it might be a pick. And the reason it wasn't is because that linebacker, safety, whoever he was, he saw Mahomes coming and he knew he should stay in his spot because Juju Smith-Schuster's coming over on a crosser. But he's going to scramble, guys. And it's going to be like a 5 or 10 yard gain, and I'll stop him. There's no way he's going to fit that ball. What? And it is so funny every time. Also, shout out to you, Juju Smith-Schuster, for not really being Rashee Rice light, because it's not quite as consistent. But like diet Rashee Rice light, some of the yak stuff, he's been working, man. He looks like he must just be miserable when he gets the ball in the middle of the field, because he weighs, 215? And he runs hard and mean. He's not like Hollywood Brown, although, man, Brown was shaking tackles too. He was. Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, avoid contact, guys. Go down. You weigh like $190, if that. Worthy's case, not even close. Juju, run like a running back, dude. Get nuts. So that was something, the level of comfort, and them that allowed them to make so many of the swing plays, and not just the ones that you remember, but like, late in the game and that kind of stuff. But like really, I mean, even just like, I don't know, an easy one like that out near the end of the half to Hollywood Brown on the right side of the field. He makes this gorgeous sideline catch. Things like that where Mahomes is just dropping back. He sees that the boundary corners are dropping back deep, playing like a deep quarters look, and just lets the out rip because he knows that he can trust Brown to bring it down, and Brown does. Those are really cool things to see. And then finally, him and Kelsey being right back. That's a good idea, Nate Dogg. Juju, running back one. Seeing Kelsey and Mahomes being totally comfortable reading the field together again. One of my favorite reps of the game, and I wrote about it on the Chief North newsletter as one of the swing plays. It's 3rd and 3. You're in the fourth quarter. You're late in the fourth. I think it's like 5-6 minutes left, something like that. Maybe it was a little under 5. It's 3rd and 3. You've already like passed midfield, but you're not quite in field goal range yet, especially when you're nervous about your kicker. And if you convert, I mean, it changes everything because you're going to bleed a couple extra minutes off. And now you put them in a situation where one more first down basically ends the game. This is like the first down before the first down that ends the game, right? It's like the one that drops it, like for you from like having like a 70% chance, like a 90% chance. 3rd and 3, Chiefs line up. They utilize motion to identify it as zone, which I don't know why the Lions didn't try to disguise it. And even as the motion receiver is still going, Mahomes is looking at the defense and he sees that the two linebackers, that one was shaded over Kelsey showing man initially, and he sees him shift. And as he's shifting, the ball is snapped. And so what that means is that he knows they're not playing man. That means that linebacker is going to continue that shift to Mahomes' left, his right, which means the other linebacker is going to try to squeeze that hole. But if he throws it immediately and Kelsey turns his head immediately, there is literally nothing they can do to stop him from getting the first round. It's uncoverable with that route against that coverage. And he speeds up his feet and doesn't like even drop back. He immediately, I think the word that I've seen people use is short your footwork, but I try to avoid terminology. I have no idea. Quarterback footwork, who knows? But let's call it that. He shorts his footwork and doesn't even actually take a drop back, doesn't even do like a 3-step drop. Just catch and throw. And it gets out of there so fast that even though Detroit was running kind of a simulated pressure look and dropping the defensive tackle into that spot,
yes,
because it's to stop that throw, because there's that gap, and they know that. It's actually a good call from the defense, but it doesn't work if you throw it within half a second of the ball coming out with perfect precision. And that was beautiful to watch, and it helped clinch the game. So stuff like that, watching them make those big plays, and then so that on offense, it was all so comfortable, and it was good to see.
I love that play just because it's when you see from literally from the moment of the snap, 3 defenders going towards the same spot, and the ball goes there for an easy completion. You go, what? What happened there? I need to watch this back tomorrow. And again, you can see both like the screenshot and the actual the GIF of the actual play. It was bizarre. Like you could tell something was happening there in real time, and the ball got there before the D tackle could. It's just really sicko stuff that I am so happy to see back in this Chiefs offense. And calling it an easy button, I think, would be unfair because there is still such an incredible level of detail that goes into that. It's something we see Mahomes and Kelsey pull off what seems like all the time.
Yes.
So that's on the offensive side. We'll talk more about the defensive side, playing a clean game in a few moments. But right now, we are rejoined by the one and only Nate Taylor of ESPN and of Only Weird Games, where he's at with us again right now. Hello, Nathaniel. How have you been?
Good, guys. I have a Josh Simmons update.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and note then what we know as of this moment. Of course, Jaylen Moore ends up starting at left tackle. Josh Simmons is added to the injury report, questionable with a personal issue pretty late on Sunday afternoon. He's ruled out before. He's inactive. We've seen a couple reports since then, but Nate, what's the latest?
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty descript, guys, as best I can, because this situation is ongoing and it continues to evolve. And I think I said on 96.5 The Fan earlier today with Alex Gold and Cody Tapp was that, it's not every day where, you make calls and there's a level of mystery, but also like just blanks throughout, like me trying to understand what's going on versus the person I'm talking to trying to understand what's going on. I have been working with, my colleague Adam Schefter to try to get a sense of what's going on, knowing that, we can give our best efforts, ladies and gentlemen. So I've tried my best to give effort to try to make you somewhat knowledgeable of what's going on. The easiest way I can explain this, guys, is from a football sense purely, because I've already told the guys in the group chat kind of what I've surmised so far. But in terms of football sense, this is not great. I don't know if you guys talked about this before, Josh and Seth, but, usually if something happens on a Sunday, usually you play the game and then usually the coaching staff takes some time. The front office has more time. You have some communication. You get a general sense of like what happened that day or what happened on Saturday, right? I mean, we've seen instances before where a player got involved in an unusual circumstances the night before the Super Bowl, kids. I mean, this has happened over the course of time because we're all human and you can't control everything as much as football coaches would love to control everything. Well, in this sense, the Chiefs don't really have control. And as much as I can tell you now, again, from a football situation, this is not good. And there's no reason for me to tell you, the audience, that Josh Simmons is going to be at practice tomorrow. There's no data as of yet to indicate that that's going to happen. There was a moment in the locker room where we talked with Jaylen Moore, and I know we're going to get to him if you guys haven't talked to him yet, but there was a moment where I thought Jaylen Moore said a couple things from a contextual standpoint that were interesting. He alluded to the fact that he maybe understands that he might play Sunday against the Raiders based on this situation. He basically said, hey, I played well. I didn't have a perfect game. I definitely want to go back and rewatch the film because I want to get better for the next week. Which, seems reasonable based on what I know. Patrick Mahomes, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, Josh, or help me out here. Patrick Mahomes, in front of everybody at his press conference, and I wasn't there. I was still in the locker room. I chose to stay in the locker room to talk to more guys. Given, again, what Jaylen Moore was going, really, I was in the locker room to try to get an understanding of everything, and I wanted to talk to Jaylen Moore. So you have to pick. I picked Jaylen Moore. Patrick Mahomes, with my other colleagues in the room, basically said, in essence, I went to the team walkthrough hours before kickoff, and Josh Simmons wasn't there. And then I talked to the coaches and said, where's Josh? And the coaches said, we don't know. He said that in a press conference. It's not great from a football standpoint. I asked Andy Reid a question yesterday saying, what is the timetable for him to return? Or is that still an uncertainty at this point? Andy Reid didn't want to answer it because it is somewhat becoming clear that maybe Andy Reid doesn't have an answer. And he didn't say that definitively, but he also didn't give us a legitimate answer as to whether or not he's either A, talked to Josh Simmons, B, know what Josh Simmons is exactly going through for what is the team called a personal reason, and he doesn't know when he's returning, and he won't say that. So, NBC, which is the broadcast partner that publicly broadcasted the game, was told that Josh Simmons is in California. Josh Simmons is from San Diego. He left at a time on Sunday that is extremely unusual. And I'm not sure when he's coming back. I don't know if the team, as of right now, the team doesn't know when he's coming back. No one associated with the Kansas City Chiefs has said to me, oh, he'll be back Thursday, or he'll be back Friday, or we anticipate him to be back at a certain point in time. This is the best information I can give you. And I've told the guys more, but again, I'm trying to piece this all together. And so again, in fairness to Josh, in fairness to his situation, whatever that is, this appears to be difficult, but this is unusual, and this is not how NFL personnel would like to have some idea of understanding and / control.
I just have a couple of follow-up questions, and Josh, you always do an incredible job with this, but I think I'm reading the flavor of the comments, and I'm going to treat you like you're a witness, and I'm going to ask you a few questions because I think the jury might have some questions that they're confused about. When you say it's not good from a football standpoint, you're not commenting on something's happened that's not good from a football standpoint. You're talking about the unusual nature of how it's been handled. Is that accurate?
Yes, and
Okay.
There's no expectation, at least there's no indication as to when Josh Simmons will return or if he will be a part of the game plan for the Raiders.
Sure. And that's what makes it not good and unusual, because normally what you'd have in this situation, even with a family emergency,
Correct.
You would generally have the player, maybe sometimes even through their agent, because I think one thing people don't realize, teams aren't omniscient, right?
Right.
In a lot of ways, it's like a regular job. The way that the team relies on information is the same way your boss relies on you to call or text.
Yes.
So that's one thing. So what people shouldn't hear you saying is, oh, something terrible's happened that's going to affect Josh Simmons for years or this entire year. You're saying this is very unusual and he left very suddenly, which is bad.
Yes.
In the sense the way that it was maybe handled.
Yes.
So here's the other thing. A lot of people are asking in the comments, and if you don't know, you don't know. You can't report.
Correct.
It was reported on SiriusXM there was some kind of family emergency, some kind of even family medical emergency.
When would that come out? Because this is new to me.
It came out just people talking about what was being said on SiriusXM. So here's the deal. I don't know who
I don't
said
know.
it.
Yeah, I don't.
And so-
I don't know that. I mean,
Okay.
That's
important for people to know that that's just something that
Right.
someone said.
Now look. If that report is accurate, we will treat that report with the accuracy and the respect it deserves. It appears it could be family related, but I don't know that definitively.
And that's how a professional reports things. The big thing that makes this so unusual, and then Josh, I'm going to hand the reins back to you, and I'm just going to be done kind of with the follow-up cross-examining stuff. It was apparently Pro Football Talk per Pazlou.
Okay.
And PFT for all the issues Chiefs fans have with Florio.
It could be correct. I don't know.
He knows a lot of agents, including Rosenhaus, who is Simmons' agent, correct?
Correct. Yes, it's based on again, talking to a number of people. Yes, Drew Rosenhaus is Josh Simmons' agent. And again, Drew Rosenhaus has been doing this a long time, ladies and gentlemen, and he is very very accommodating, I would say, on behalf of players in terms of a communication.
And if my client didn't show up for court, for example, and I wasn't quite sure why, and all I'd heard from him was, had to go, it's an emergency, What I would probably tell the court, Your Honor, my client had an emergency. I have reasons to believe that it may be a family emergency. Well, my reason to believe that is I don't believe my client would do this to me without it being a family emergency. The creative language like that gets used sometimes.
Yep.
So the short answer is we don't know hardly anything other than he was unexpectedly not there on Sunday. He's now home in San Diego.
Well, let's do this again. That is definitely within the realm of possibility.
Okay.
Do not know that factually just yet. I will throw this out there. I am led to believe that Josh Simmons left at an earlier time than what anybody knows publicly, which is also not good from a football situation standpoint. In terms of just what it means for the football team, he left at a time that is extremely unusual, but given whatever circumstances he's dealing with, he felt it was necessary to leave at that time, which put the Chiefs in a bit of a difficult situation from a football standpoint. Now, we all know life is more important than football. Let me say that one more time. Your life, my life, our lives are more important than a sport where the ball ain't round, okay? But if you got to play an important football game that night, not good for the football.
Two things that do stand out in the larger context of it that's just interesting is the one I hadn't considered, the Rosenhaus thing. That makes me feel worse because this isn't an instance of an agent that doesn't know how to handle some of this kind of thing. Like, and Josh Simmons I know he's on a rookie contract, year one of rookie contract for that matter, but he's not a tiny fry in the Rosenhaus portfolio. Like, his future is bright enough that really, really matters. And the other thing is that we do have a extremely recent example of a family emergency being handled quite well with the organization and Chris Jones. Now, obviously, again, like, that's different because there was a funeral scheduled and they were able to share the timeline and all of that. And I guess I'm not comparing the two situations because I don't have a clue what was going on with Simmons, but we do have a recent example of Chris Jones being in communication with the team in a way that allowed him to land closer to game time than any other NFL player I've ever heard of, and to be on the field and be productive that day. And obviously we are going to talk about Jaylen Moore, and I want to, like, almost independently of this, obviously they're very, very related, but I want to heap praise on Jaylen Moore for a minute sometime down the line here today for what he did. But the Chiefs do have, I mean, maybe the best backup left tackle situation in football as things stand right now, because they ended up coming into the year with 2 starting left tackles or 3 starting tackles on their roster. So
correct.
It's not like the Chiefs are in a place where, the result of the game changes if Patrick Mahomes is off the team in a handful of hours before the game. The Chiefs obviously weathered the Josh Simmons absence with Jaylen Moore quite well. I don't know. I have to imagine the communication there is a very big deal. Seth, I know you've got an out time here in a second. Anything you want to say to add on? But then we'll take a break. We'll come back, and Nate and I can talk about Jaylen Moore, a little more about the defense and all that.
Yeah. I would just say, hopefully there's some clarity here. I think people hate the unknown because there's so many possibilities. Look, there's a possibility that this is a young guy that's just handling a situation really poorly. There's a possibility of that, and I think that makes fans pretty angry, and I get that. There's a possibility that news arrived that was traumatic enough that just everything else flew out the window. There's a lot of possibilities. I would just say until I know a little more, I would know more whether or not, which it's so funny that's our job, whether to be judgy or not. But, like, there's just not much to know. It is an unusual thing, in the year of our Lord 2025, with 24/7 access to phones. Hey,
Correct.
I'm at the airport. I'm sorry. Right. Like, or something, anything. Now, it could be that the team, that's all they've gotten. And so there's just a lot we don't know. The thing that I will add, because I know you guys can talk about him before I get out of here, he wasn't an elite tackle in San Francisco. You shouldn't expect him to probably be as good as Josh Simmons has been. But Jaylen Moore, after reviewing his film when he was with the Niners, I was excited about him as the signing, as a potential long-term option at left tackle. Mm-hmm. And the way he played with help against Hutch, who is a heck of a player, and good Lord, is Crosby even better. That makes this so much easier to handle than everything else. And so from a football perspective, I would just say I've rewatched Moore's snaps. He played really well, and he's a guy that can actually be in there and be a competent starter at left tackle, which is a huge deal.
We'll talk about what Jaylen Moore accomplished after a quick timeout.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Let's talk about Jaylen Moore here, Nate. Both what actually happened in the game and then also before. But first, I need you to check your phone real quick.
Oh no!
Texting you something. No, it's all okay. I just want to let you double check something. And I don't need to be vague about it. I want to have you look at the KCSN tweet and make sure the phrasing is all good for you on the Josh Simmons and Jaylen Moore stuff.
Sure.
Because I will not be ashamed of the fact that I think it's important to be responsible with our phrasing and our framing of things like this, especially in these circumstances. So you take a look at that, and I'm going to set up the Jaylen Moore thing because I could not be much more impressed with Jaylen Moore, and not necessarily just because of what happened on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed with Jaylen Moore because of what has happened since March. So, Nate, you can correct me if I'm wrong at any point along this timeline, but my understanding of the timeline is this. The Chiefs signed Jaylen Moore in free agency. He's been backing up Trent Williams in San Francisco. He's looked good in his limited sample size, but he's not being paid to be the new tackle of the future in San Francisco. I got to go get paid elsewhere. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes, they need a left tackle. I'm available. I get a 2-year deal, and I'm thinking, okay, at bare absolute minimum, I'm going to have a chance to win the starting job, to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side on the highest profile team in the sport, the highest profile offense in the sport, and either I'm getting an extension with the Chiefs or I'm getting paid I'll be right tackle in 26 maybe.
Right.
Left or right tackle. I'll be playing in 26 for sure. Maybe somebody else pays me for 27 and beyond, or maybe the Chiefs pay me after a good 2025 and I'm here long term. But that's got to be the vision that Jaylen Moore has. And look, again, he's being well compensated on this 2-year deal, but that's not the same thing as what he was expecting, right? So he comes in with that expectation. The NFL draft comes along, and Josh Simmons is there at the end of the first round. And the Chiefs do, I think, the right thing by selecting Josh Simmons. They move back from 31 to 32, get Simmons there, and then I imagine Jaylen Moore at that time had to go, oh, okay, well, that's kind of a bummer. But that's a little surprising maybe even, but he just came off of a very severe knee injury. He's a young guy. So I'm the vet. I'm here first, and I'm healthy. So let's see if I can win this thing in training camp and see how maybe even OTAs. Well, bad news, Jaylen Moore. Josh Simmons is healthy. He's healthy enough to go right now. More bad news later. Hey, Jaylen, Josh Simmons is good. He's healthy and good, and we're going to give him
good.
Every single first-team left tackle snap we can possibly feed him throughout training camp. That's going to be his. And you can take some snaps with the ones at right tackle. You can take some reps at left tackle with the twos. You might even need to be on your toes, because if Kingsley can't hold down left guard, we might call you up to do that and make you go figure that out. But suddenly, Jaylen Moore has gone from being Patrick Mahomes' blindside personal protector to being the Chiefs' sixth lineman, swing tackle, back up everything. And I said this on 96.5 today. I said this, I've said this 3 times, I think, in the last 2 days. I'm going to make it 4 because I think it's true. Backup players talk all the time about preparing like you're the starter. And you have to, right? Because if you don't, you do end up in the game every once in a while, and you don't get to go back later because you weren't prepared if you weren't preparing like you were going to play. But with that being said, if you tell me that Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew are in the same headspace an hour before kickoff, I'm not going to believe you. I believe, no doubt in my mind, that Gardner Minshew is preparing every week like he's going to start, and that he's got to be ready to go into that game. That's why he can be a backup NFL quarterback. He has started. He has been a backup. He's a professional. Jaylen Moore has been a backup. He has been thrust into action. He has gone in, there's a difference, I think, between preparing all week and running with the ones, which he might do this week, it sounds like, and a difference between being shoved in the third quarter because there's an injury and things are just rolling. And then there's a difference to saying a few hours before the game, hey, man, do you want to make your first start with the Kansas City Chiefs against Aiden Hutchinson and Muhammad on the other side, 2 good edges that are not going to give you very many breaks in this game? Welcome to Arrowhead. Here's your first game under the lights against one of the best teams in football. You're the guy now. And I know you will know enough to correct me if I'm wrong on this, Nate, but I don't think you're going to correct me. I didn't hear a single peep from anybody ever from mid-March through mid-October of Jaylen Moore being any sort of malcontent or being pouty at any point. And honestly, man, I would be. And maybe he was in private for a little while, right? Go, well, I'm getting paid. Like, I know I'm on a good team and I'm going to have an opportunity to play, but the vision when I put pen to paper is that I'm Patrick Mahomes' guy. And right now, I'm Josh Simmons and Jawan Taylor's guy. I'm backing them up to make sure that there's always something there.
Yes.
So for him to be ready for this moment and to be in that proper headspace throughout, and then to see yesterday morning the Chiefs post on socials, Andy Reid post-game locker room, he calls Jaylen Moore out to lead the post-game breakdown, and he seemed thrilled. He said he loved his brothers or loved all of you boys or whatever it was, and then somebody else, it sounded like maybe Travis Kelce got in there. I couldn't tell all the voices.
I love you too, dog!
Of sending that love right back. It's just a professional 6 months from Jaylen Moore where his number was not called nearly as early or nearly as often as he thought it would be. And when it was, he was ready. And I just think that deserves a ton of credit because this is an ego game. This is an emotional game. Jaylen Moore should have an ego. He's one of the 50 best tackles in football or whatever, right? Like, that is incredibly hard to do. And the Chiefs paid him for that this offseason and then didn't let him see the field until really kind of bizarre circumstances. I want to flash that spotlight on him until he gets sunburnt because I really think he deserves that.
That's a great phrase.
Just came up with it. I don't know what's going on.
Yes, I mean that was nice. Look, man. No, everything you said was extremely accurate. And I want to remind people too, like it wasn't just they signed him in free agency; they signed him within minutes.
Yes.
Of you can now agree to terms with a player.
Yes.
So you could tell, once the Ronnie Stanley, paradise dream died because Ronnie Stanley re-signed with the Ravens before, quote unquote free agency opened.
Right.
Even though we all know I mean, we all know.
Right.
Guys, free agency just started. Whoa, he just got a massive contract. How'd that happen? So they signed him within minutes of free agency starting. So he was at the top of their board to fill their biggest need on their roster at that moment in time. But you gotta take Josh Simmons in the first round. You got to. And I know Jaylen Moore probably understood that because, again, he's learned, he was the Padawan for Trent Williams for 4 years. So, hey, I get it. I've been well-trained. If I got to help this guy because, if I got to pay it forward because, at the time of the draft, the thought process was, hey, give as much time as Josh Simmons needs because you have Jaylen Moore, right? So if Jaylen Moore plays, again, this is back in April. If Jaylen Moore plays the first 8 games and then you want to bring, Josh Simmons along, hey, that's fine. Who knows what's going to happen with Jawan Taylor? So you got flexibility. I think the person who was most upset was Jawan Taylor. Actually, I know it was Jawan Taylor who was most upset because, hey, bro, we gotta split reps. We gotta split reps with Jaylen because we signed him. He needs practice. This is his first time in the system. Come on, dog. Give him a couple reps. And Jawan's like, "Are you out of your mind? I've been to 2 straight Super Bowls. I played with 1.5 knees last year. How dare you do this to me?" But Jaylen Moore has been a absolute professional. He's helped Josh Simmons. He's helped Kingsley as much as he can, again, within the first year of the system. He has pushed Jawan Taylor to play probably his best 3-game stretch since the 2023 postseason, kids. Let me say that one more time. Jawan Taylor is playing out of his mind the last 3 weeks, right? And no penalties. And all of a sudden, Jaylen Moore comes along, and the offense does not miss a beat. I guess it's comforting for Patrick Mahomes to realize, hey, guys, where's Josh?
Right.
Where is he?
Right.
And, let me just insert Andy Heck. I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, what? What do you mean? Yeah, it's kind of being relayed to me that they don't know where homie is or he not going to be with us today. I think the best way to describe it is Andy Heck probably said, he not going to be here with us, okay? So everybody turns their head to Jaylen Moore and says, all right, how you gonna handle this one? By the way, Jaylen Moore wasn't even with the team on Saturday.
Because I didn't know about this till later. I believe his wife was giving birth to their 3rd child.
Yes! If he wasn't with the team on Saturday,
it would have been like a reasonable time for Jaylen Moore to be like, actually, I've got a personal thing. I've got a baby.
Right.
I don't know. Look, Nate, you've got 2. Maybe the 3rd one, you're like, he'll be fine. They'll figure it out. But honestly, that's a big freaking couple days. Big weekend.
Right. I thought that. I want to be clear, guys, for anyone who has multiple kids, I'd love your perspective too, because I thought that. I thought, well, hey, we got through the first one with Hayden, and that was a little nerve wracking because you never been through the experience before.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh well, there's enemy just like the second one, and then but because all the complications, all the stress, everything that your wife, the mother of your child has had to deal with for 9 going on 10 months now. You actually know too much, and it becomes even more nerve-wracking. I want to make that very clear. So things went great with Noah, and we are led to believe that things went great with Jaylen. Yeah, Jaylen and his wife and everything. But I just want to, I don't normally do this because you guys have eyes you can read on your own account. But yeah, it's just one of the crazy things where I wrote this for ESPN.com. Quote, as Sunday progressed, Moore rejoined his teammates while rookie left tackle Josh Simmons, the 2025 first round pick, left the team hours before kickoff, back to his hometown of San Diego for what the team called a personal reason. Never thought I was going to write that sentence this year, boys. Never. Ladies and gentlemen, never thought I was going to write that. So, look, I asked him, based on experience, hey, dog, you get, I think it was me and Pete Sweeney. We kind of tag teamed it where it's like, Pete was like, I'm sorry, you were in the hospital? He was like, yeah. My wife gave birth to our child. And we were like, first, second, third? And I think I knew Jaylen had kids, but again, you just want to double check. He said, no, it's our third. And I was like, okay, cool. Hey, bro, how you sleeping? Like, how you sleep? And that's where we got the quote where he's like, man, my feet were all out. Like, the hospital does great. Hospitals do a marvelous job at accommodating every mother's needs. Hey, we get you the greatest bed we can get you. We got staff, we got nurses, the doc coming through. Hell, the fork could be right here, but the doc got the call and he or she put the fork down and went straight to you to deliver that baby. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't care about us. They don't care about us. They do. I'm sorry. Are you delivering the child? Go sit over here in that corner, dog. And you know what?
That square chair that's over there.
It might be a futon. It might be a couch. It ain't new. You want sheets to go to sleep? Get out of here. I'm sorry. Did you deliver said child? No. No.
Have you been carrying this baby in your body for 9 months? No, but my feet kind of hurt anyway.
I've been carrying her while she's been carrying the baby. We
really
do not care.
It is deeply unfortunate that Seth left right before we asked
Right,
the power
right.
ranking.
He's been through it the most.
You have more kids. Yeah. We need to put a pin in this for Thursday and
Yes.
ask
Yes.
Seth exactly at what point it's
Nah.
probably fine. I think we have on the show on record that Seth has taken like 24 total hours of paternity leave over the years. Which is averaging, I think, 2 hours per kid at this point.
Yes. So, and so my the way I inferred it was he got maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep on something that is not a hotel bed or a bed at your house or not even a friend's couch. Okay, he got the worst 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and then again against two good edge rushers that you mentioned. I think I have the stats here if I can find them real quick. But yeah, I mean, it's hilarious that in a game where he had 40 pass blocking snaps, Jaylen Moore surrendered just 3 pressures and 1 sack. And that sack was probably the most meaningless sack of the game because the Chiefs were running out the clock and Patrick Mahomes essentially decided Harrison Butker needs some work. So I'm gonna just eat the football, go down, keep that clock running. All right, Harrison, let's get back in that groove, baby. Get it right. You know what? That ball went straight through the middle of the uprights. So even when Jaylen Moore made a mistake, he kind of didn't.
In any other context, that is a pressure, but not a sack, because Mahomes is getting rid of that football. No question in my mind.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Mahomes was like, we're gonna win. I'll just eat it. So I mean, he did well. He did get help, as Seth said earlier. They did move Mahomes a little bit early in the game just to get him into a rhythm. But I mean, he showed his athleticism a couple times, which I thought was nice. And as I also note in the story, which I'm like, this is why you need me in the locker room, guys. This is why you need somebody peeking, okay? Look at my eyes. This is why you need somebody peeking. Jaylen Moore, in a rare occurrence, was the first Chiefs offensive lineman to get dressed in the locker room after the game. He had plenty of motivation to do so. He was ready to return to the hospital to spend time with Sydney, his wife. And I think it's, how did he pronounce it? Is it Sayla? I believe is his daughter's name.
I've heard clips of it, but I don't think I heard the. I think I heard the name.
Yeah. So that's why you need me in that. That's why you need me in that room.
Absolutely.
Where the things happen, so I can know who's getting dressed first. Because you know who wasn't getting dressed quickly? Creed. Creed could have just hung out all night. Which no one needed to know that bit of information, but I was in the room.
You're in the room
where it happens.
Exactly.
After it happens.
This is what that musical's about. Yeah. I wish I had a Hamilton pun, but I don't have one. I can't. There's not an Alexander. There's not a. There's anybody rhyme with Burr. No.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know it. Well, Nate, we've done an hour of show here between you and Seth. You guys tagged in and tagged out a couple absolutely banger halves of this show. Any final thought? We're gonna have more on Thursday. We're obviously on Thursday. We're gonna talk a lot about Rashee Rice because he's back,
Yes.
and we'll be excited to talk about all of that. We mentioned the defense a little bit earlier on, and I think that's going to be an ongoing discussion and a good chance to try to have a big Chiefs defense game against the Raiders, who have been bad against good teams or even decent teams.
Right. Hey, Steve. All right, that was cute. It's been 6 weeks. That was cute. Time to matriculate toward real football. And you know what? Guys, go rewatch Tamari Connor.
Yeah.
We don't need to see it again, Steve. All right, the first 6 weeks is shits and giggles.
Right.
The next 6 weeks is all right, let's get moving.
It's just giggles.
The next 6 weeks are, hey, bud, in golf, they call Saturday the moving day because you want to move up the leaderboard to get in position to win on Sunday.
The next 6 weeks are toots and laughs.
Yep. and then
chuckles.
Yeah, and then the final 6 weeks is real football where we have to get to the playoffs, win the division, maybe get the 1 seed if we have the opportunity, and know who we are before the postseason begins. So hey, Steve, that was great. I don't ever need to see Jamari Connor in the slot again, boys. unless something has gone really wrong with the personnel. So yeah, we'll get more to the defense on Thursday. But it was a hell of a. I mean, again, how many people drive to Arrowhead to be like, you know what, boys, I can't wait to watch Brian Cook play today.
I know.
But guys,
you should have.
Brian Cook played out of his freaking keister, man.
Flying. Incredible.
Yeah. So, they'll get their credit on Thursday. But yeah, man, I know, again, I will try to do my best. We will give you more Josh Simmons updates as they come about. Now I sound like I'm, I mean, these things are not equated, which is fine, but it kind of sounds like, yes, Katie, I'm here at the White House where the White House doesn't know what the president's doing. That's kind of where we are. And I'm just like, hey, Josh Simmons, really good player. The time I've gotten to know him, incredible dude. I wouldn't think he would leave the team for something that wasn't extremely serious. We just don't know what the serious nature of it actually is. It's all not all of it's a mystery, but it's in the modern NFL. This is pretty mysterious, and we'll provide you more updates as we can. You can go back and rewind earlier to this episode. Hopefully, I thought I handled it okay. I don't know, but we're talking in real time, and then I have to report things back to you. And again, I'm not writing, which is totally different. I would have a much clearer, concise, measured approach, but. Guys, I don't know if he's going to be at practice this week.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be at practice this week. And that's okay. And if that changes, we'll let you know.
Right. Well, again, this means if that's the case, then Jaylen Moore gets those first team reps and obviously, again, handled his business very, very well against the Lions. We'll see. Max Crosby is another animal, and I think animal is the right word at this point. I think that he probably relishes that. I say animal and mean it like a maniac.
He's so good. He's so good.
He's top. I think for whatever reason, I don't know. But I think he's top 5 players in the league. Where it's like, man, I wish he was on my team.
Yes,
he's just such a huge pain in the ass to root against. He's so fun.
Even though he doesn't have 10 teammates nearly as good as him on his own unit, he got a coach fired because that's how good he is.
That's true. Man, I keep. I think we've missed the window. I just am constantly constantly wishing for him to force his way out of there and get to maybe a contender in the AFC West who wears red. I don't know.
Yep.
I'll keep my hopes up down the line. So, okay, Nate, any final thoughts? You can get us out of here. If not, I'll say something kitschy and the show will end magically.
No, man, it's a joy to be with you guys. We're trying. All right, let's get a little meta. Do not clip this, which totally means clip this. I love Nick Wright. Nick Wright's totally fine. Guys, it's not every day when you wake up, or not, it's not when I woke up, it's like, okay, get the kids to school, get the kid to daycare. All right, start to like answer emails, get on the phone, do this, do that, look at Twitter, and you're like, why are people upset at me? Hey man, I just write the paragraph. I just write the paragraph. They asked me a question, I gave them an answer. The offensive line is not an issue. I'm not the one who voted them from 7 to 9. You like won the game. Nick Wright is right, and we're wrong, I guess. Go on ESPN.com.